So, welcome back to Good Conversations podcast with Larry, of course,
And I'm C. Will.
and we have the man of the hour, the orchestrator, the coordinator of this entire event, Mr. Yeah, you the one, Mr.
Man.
Tim Lampkin.
Mr. Tim Lampkin. Like you said, the founder of
Dr.
Legacy.
Tim Lampkin.
Dr. Tim.
We're gonna bring it up.
That is
We're
true.
gonna bring that up.
It is
We're gonna
true.
bring it up.
The founder of Legacy Purpose Success, entrepreneur, businessman, helping other black business owners find their success in Mississippi. And we're in the Delta. We're in Greenville, Mississippi. And we'd like to introduce Mr. Tim Lampkin.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to be here and just grateful to be able to use my abilities and skill set to bring people together. That's something I recognized a long time ago. So excited about all y'all being here and us really just building together as black men.
Yes, sir. So you are the owner, CEO of Higher Purpose Company,
Yeah,
correct?
High Purpose Co.
Kind of explain that company and what it is and what it's meant to do.
So 7 years ago, I had this idea to really help black-owned businesses. So I was working at a bank at the time, and I literally came up with a blueprint. It was like, hey, we need to do this in the community. And I was like, nah, I don't think you should do that. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm resigning. So I resigned and started to really build out this concept. And so the first thing we did in February 2016 was Higher Purpose Academy. And it was like a one-day event, kind of similar to this, but on a smaller scale. And we had like 75 people to show up. And I was like, we might be on
That's a lot. Yeah.
so, and we only organized it and promoted it in 2 weeks. So, on Saturday morning, like 9 o'clock, 75 people showed up. So, we did another Higher Purpose Academy and another one and another one. And then at the end of that year, we did a women's entrepreneurship summit. And so then that gave us the ability to say, like, okay, we're building out something that people really need, people that really want to be engaged with all of this. And so, after that, we just kind of did the same thing. 2017, 2018, we actually went from an LLC and we converted to a nonprofit.
Gotcha.
And that's when we got our tax exempt status and started to apply for grants and reaching out to foundations and getting donations from donors. That for us really created a runway to say, hey, we're building something building something great.
Wow, yeah. So, Dr. Lampkin, tell me something. I'll go a little bit more deeper. You said that you were in the banking industry, and when you say that you left that industry to found this, were you were you thinking, hey, I'm gonna be here today? Where you at today? When you left banking, or did you have any doubt in your mind where you would be today?
Yeah, like honestly, when I got to the bank that first year, I thought I would be there for a very long time. I thought I would be at the bank probably 10 years, but I was only there about 2 years. And so when I left, I was like, well, that's not where I need to be. There was something like very confident in knowing that like everything that I needed to be doing was going to like come to fruition. And I wasn't worried, but I remember like my mom and like my grandmother and like my friend was like, you leaving that good job at the bank? Don't benefits and all that. I was like, yeah. And I remember like even having a conversation with the boss, my boss at the time at the bank, and she was like, so what are you gonna do? And I was like, I don't know, but I ain't doing it. And
I totally understand.
And that was March 2015.
And so you said that was March 15th?
March 2015.
Okay. And so my next question is, so higher purpose. So you realized that you had a higher purpose at that moment.
Yeah, I realized like where I was helping a lot of people because of the role that I was in. It was called a community development officer. So I was working with the community, working with funders, and we were bringing in. So I was doing a lot of impactful work, but it wasn't like it wasn't fulfilling me completely. Right? You know, like how you eat something and it tastes good, but like you still hungry.
Still hungry, right?
And it's like I had that hunger for like there's something else, and I knew what it was. It was the ability to like create and really inspire in a way that folks didn't really see in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Right? Like I did all this traveling and went to New York, and went to DC and Chicago and all these places, and I was like, I want to bring some of this back to like people here in Mississippi.
Right.
And I knew the only way I could do that is by creating my own thing. Didn't know what it was going to be called at the time. Didn't know the right formation or anything in terms of the legal piece. But I knew that I had to do something different. And, I think in some ways I did find my own higher purpose, because I realized that at that point that my job, my purpose in life, not just in that moment, is to be of service.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. So there was a weird kind of like acceptance of that, like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So it doesn't matter if it's higher purpose, if it's something else after this. Like I know, like my role, the purpose in my life is to serve.
It's to serve. Yeah, for sure.
Now, you've been on CBS. You've spoken at the White House, man. You've been all over the place, around the country speaking, man. What's that like? What is that like?
What are some of the challenges?
Well, I was about to say, so the challenge is there's not enough people from Mississippi connected to Mississippi telling a different story about Mississippi.
Right.
Because oftentimes when I'm in these spaces, it's like, oh, you're the only person from Mississippi. Or I heard about Mississippi, but like, this is the story I heard. And so I think we need more people telling different stories, which is why this is so important, right? Like getting more stories out there, really conveying a different narrative, where the dominant narrative around the negative, statistics and the preconceived notions about Mississippi are really put to rest. And the only way you can do that is that you have more storytellers.
Gotcha.
And talk about what is working. Because we already know what's not working. We already know about the problems. But like how we can dive into some of the solutions and really connect with much larger audiences, which is why your podcast is so important. But, to your question, the biggest challenge is like, I'm the only Mississippian in the room.
Just doing it.
Right? Doing it. Even when I spoke at the White House, there was maybe one other person there from Mississippi. And of course, like, they didn't have the same lived experience that I had. So me talking about growing up, not knowing I was living in poverty, they couldn't resonate with that, right? Like there was something about their lived experience that disconnected them from the true reality of Mississippi. And so I think the challenge is we need more people in different spaces lifting up what's happening in Mississippi. But then the opportunity is like that creates a lane for storytellers to really create their own narrative, to really suppress what that dominant narrative is right now.
And to link with like minds like yourself to spread that message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we all got a story to tell. It's up to us to have the courage enough to tell a story.
Right.
That's true. Do you think that, because you do have a lot of successful people that come out of Mississippi, you think it just kind of get them out, forget about Mississippi and leave, and they don't really, share their story about Mississippi, but they come from Mississippi? I think that may help.
A lot of people from Mississippi do share their story. The challenge is we're not on the same narrative.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay.
So I think if we could create a more unified message around like, all right, this is the story we want to tell about Mississippi, and no matter what space we're in, we're going to be singing the same tune.
Right.
That will create a shift. Because if I'm in the nonprofit space, if we got, other people in entertainment or education really creating a singular narrative, that for me, I think that's a win because we're all on the same page.
Right. And we're all trying to grow. Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. We're all trying to grow, and we all have purpose. I think that the name of your company, Higher Purpose, I feel like each and every one of us has a purpose. And so that's what really resonated with me higher purpose of even what I'm trying to do, what he's trying to do, what we're trying to do collectively as Black men. I've never been to something like this before.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by how it was put together by your organization and the types of Black men and people that were here today. So I'm blown away.
And women.
And women.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, something like this is going to be in Houston, Dallas, DC.
And I brought that question up. Has he thought about that? Taking, he's like, focused on Mississippi right now, which is understandable. Yeah.
Expanding to other states.
Expanding to other states.
No, I think in terms of,
or even on a smaller scale, it doesn't have to be this big, but this message needs to be spread to, in my opinion, different areas. Because Black empowerment, as far as Black men, we're still behind. We're behind in Mississippi, but we're still behind in Texas. We're still behind in California. So this message is a nationwide message. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way I think kind of resonate with that is the work is, there's always going to be enough room for the work to happen.
Right.
Also recognizing like our own capacity at this point, which is why like we're being intentional about building these spaces like this, so we create other ambassadors, right? To say, hey, what they do in Mississippi is amazing, and like y'all should think about doing this here, right? So not necessarily us planting like roots in different places, but really like planting the seeds in people.
Yeah.
So then they go and grow a version of this, or help really build something different in a completely different way. So
that makes sense. And then you don't stress yourself out.
Yeah, because I'm only one person, and I got an amazing team. But like, if I said like, "Hey, we're gonna go cover 7 states," or something,
like, nah,
it was like, "You okay, sir?" I'm like, "No," but the need is so great, and I think as a leader, we have to be intentional about when the expansion happens and what it looks like. And I think for me, it would be really nice to like be in these other cities, but there's so much work to do in Mississippi, and in some ways we would be denying like the original mission is to saturate Mississippi and empower Black-owned businesses in Mississippi in a way where no matter what community you're in Mississippi, when you say higher purpose code, they already know. They support Black-owned businesses. I know what they do in that particular way.
Yeah.
So,
Dr. Lampkin, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate this opportunity allowing us to come and hang with this conference, man. Close it out with what good conversations mean to you.
Ooh, good conversation. What does good conversations mean to me? For me, I think a good conversation is that you feel heard and the other person feels heard, and there's a level of understanding, and then when you walk away from that conversation, there's this internal joy that you have to like, I like talking to that person. I'll talk to them again. You know, there's some people you like, all right, come on, hang up the phone. Hang up the phone.
Yeah.
It's over time. But that's, for me, I think it's so important to be heard and also make space so the other person feels heard as well. And there's a level of joy that creates that excitement to like want to reconnect with that person again.
Right. Yes, sir. I agree with that.
Good, Joe.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get a photo right over here. Get a photo with you right quick. Yeah.
So we got Q4 next.
I didn't even say that. All right. Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.